Math Gangsta for life. Math Gangster here with Ascend Test Prep. This is going to be a review of linear equations with one variable that are geared towards SAT problems. If you take a look in the comment section below, you're going to see that you can download this worksheet and an answer key. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run through a variety of these problems to kind of get you started, and then you can work through it on your own and check it on the answer key. So let's take a look here at problem number 2. Number 2 says the perimeter of an isosceles triangle is 83 degrees. So perimeter is the whole path around it. You have to know that an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides and two congruent base angles. They tell us two of the sides that are congruent are both 24. So I now need to find the third side. Now I threw this as the base, but it might not be the base, but what you have to take away is in isosceles triangles, there's two congruent sides. So this becomes 24 plus 24 plus x equals 83 inches. What is the length of the third side? I collect my like terms. I get 48 plus x equals 83. And then I'm going to subtract 48 from both sides, and I'm going to get x equals, drum roll please, 35 inches. Done. Moving along, take a look at problem number 4. On problem number 4, it says, which of the following is equivalent? The word equivalent means equal to. So I have 4x plus 6 equals 12. If I take a look here, all the numbers are even. So one thing that I can do is I can divide everything by 2, and I now get 2x plus 3 equals 6. Taking a look here, answer choice D. Again, the key takeaway from problem number 4 is to know that the word equivalent means equal to. Looking at problem 6, principal used a total of 25 flags that were either blue or yellow for field day. The principal used 20 blue flags. So if you think about it, I got blue plus yellow equals 25. The principal used 20 blue flags, so this is going to become 20 plus y equals 25. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides and find out that I used 5 yellow flags. Now, a few things on this first page I want to go back and point out. If we take a look here at problem number 2, I took a lot of time to draw the diagram out for you guys, but on an SAT, you got to save your time. So if you can figure it out really quick, don't draw the diagram, just get right to it. If you can save 20 seconds on one problem and another 10 on the other, you can bank that time to use it on a much harder problem. Key takeaways from problem number 2, you need to know that perimeter means all of the sides added up, the path around the shape. Isosceles, two sides are congruent. Key takeaway for problem number 4, the word equivalent means equal to. Problem 6, I'm kind of translating the words into an algebraic problem. Going on to the next page, if we take a look here at problem number 8, they're not asking for the solution, they're asking you how many it may have. So I got 10 equals 2x plus 4. I subtract 4 from both sides, I get 6 equals 2x. I divide by 2 and I get x equals 3. Okay, so it's going to be exactly one solution. Some things you need to know here. If you ever get a number equals a number, that means it's going to be infinitely many. If you ever get a number that doesn't equal another number, the answer is going to be none. And you're going to see that later on in this worksheet. Moving on to problem number 10. A gym charges its member a one-time fee for $36 to enroll. So just to join the gym, you have to pay $36. And then they charge you $19 a month. So I'm going to put 19, I'm going to put X because I don't know for how many months. I got to keep on reading the problem. If there are no other charges than the enrollment fee and the membership fee, after how many months will a member have been charged a total of $188? So I paid the $36. I'm paying 19 a month. It costs me 188. Again, recapping, the $36 enrollment fee is a one-time fee to join. And then we have the $19 per a month fee, but I don't know for how many months. Again, I got to solve this equation, so I got to isolate my variable to get it be it by itself. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides, and this is going to leave me 19x equals 188 minus 36 is going to give me 152. This is 19 times x, so I'm going to divide both sides by 19, and I get x equals 152 divided by 19, which is going to give me 8. So this is going to be for 8 months. All right, problem number 12. So it says if 2n divided by 5 equals 10, what is the value of 2 times n minus 1? So this is a two-part problem. I got 2n over 5 equals 10. I got to solve for n first. So I have a fraction here, 2/5. One trick here you can do is you can multiply both sides by the reciprocal. Now this is 10 over here, and I'm allowed to throw it over 1. This gives me just n because those cross out, and I'm going to get 50 over 2 equals 25. So I might be feeling really good now, but if I take a look at the answer choices, there's nothing here. This is where part 2 comes in. After I find out that n is equal to 25, I need to plug it into this equation here. So 2 times 25 minus 1 gives me 50 minus 1, which gives me 49. Answer choice B. Similar problem to 12 is like 14. I will leave that for you guys. If I take a look here at problem 16, a little word problem help you with the translation. A librarian has 43 books to distribute to a group of children. Each child will get 2 books, and the librarian will have 7 books left over. So if we think about this, we have 7 books left over that nobody took, plus every child gets 2 books. I don't know how many children there are, so that's why I'm saying X for the children, equals 43. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and I'm going to get 2x equals 36. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I'm going to get x equals 18. Answer choice B. Moving on to problem 18. If 5x is equal to 20, what is the value of 15x? Very similar to problem 14 we did above. Take a look. I have 5x equals 20. I can divide by 5 and I get x equals 4. Again, I don't see that answer choice, but it says what is the value of 15x? Well, I found x to be 4. I plug it in there. 15 times 4 is going to give me 60. Answer choice D. Hop over to the problem to the left, number 17. In the given equation, k is a constant, which means it's a number. If the equation has infinitely many solutions, what is the value of k? If I take a look here, I said earlier, if you ever get a number equals another number, the answer is going to be infinitely many solutions. So what I mean by that is if I subtract 6x from both sides, I get k is equal to 5. If I take this and I were to plug it back in, I have 6x plus 5 equals 6x plus 5. They're clearly the same thing on both sides. So your answer here is going to be infinitely many solutions. What is the value of k that has to work? It's 5. I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides to show you that I get 5 equals 5. Earlier in the video, I talked about if you ever get a number equal another number, it means it's going to be infinitely many solutions. So they're looking for what value of k gives you infinitely many solutions. It would have to be 5. Kind of a trickier version of this problem is if I gave you 2x plus 8 equals 2 times x plus 4. If I take a look here and it said solve for x, okay, the first thing you would do is you would distribute and you would get 2x plus 8 equals 2x plus 8. If you did not notice that they were both the same thing on each side, you could keep on going and subtract 2x from both sides and get 8 equals 8, which means it would be infinitely many solutions. This here is a little bit more difficult to see compared to the 6x plus 5, 6x plus 5 scenario. Moving on to the next page. Okay, take a look here at number 22. 13x equals 112 minus x. What is the value of x is the solution to the given equation? So basically translate it, solve for x. I can take a look here and add x to both sides, and this is going to give me 14x equals 112. If 14x is equal to 112, I have to divide both sides by 14. And when I do that, I get x is equal to 8. Simple, straightforward question. Please take the time and work through the rest of the problems. And if you have questions, you can see the answer key below. All the best. MathGangsta for life. All right, gangsters, here we go. We are going to focus on this worksheet on linear equations that involve two variables. And they're going to be geared towards some SAT-like problems like our last video. If you'd like to get the answer key or this worksheet, it'll be in the description box below. So take a look here at problem number 1. A store sells two different size containers of certain Greek yogurt. The store sales of this Greek yogurt add up to all this money. The equation is listed right here. Okay. They tell us X is the number of small containers. They tell us Y is the number of larger containers. According to the equation, which of the following represents the price of the smaller containers? Well, if you read this when I was going through it, it says X is the number of smaller containers. So the price of the smaller containers is going to be 5.48. On to number 2. Line K is defined by this equation. So we have line K. Now there's another line called J that is perpendicular. So if you have a perpendicular slope, the upside down T means perpendicular, M means slope. You have to remember it's the opposite reciprocal of whatever you're looking for. So if I know that my slope in the original problem is, I'm going to say 3 over 1, I know my perpendicular slope, if this top one is positive, the bottom one has to be negative, and now I reciprocate. So one is positive, the other one becomes negative, and then I take the reciprocal of 3 over 1, which gives me negative 1/3. Answer choice A. Okay, hopping along, skipping through just to get you guys going through it. Problem number 5. Total number of 364 straws of equal length were used to cut two types of polygons, triangles and rectangles. Okay, triangles and rectangles are constructed so that no two polygons had a common side. The equation 3x plus 4y equals 364 represents this situation. X is the number of triangles. X is the number of triangles. And y is the number of rectangles. Okay. What is the best interpretation of the answer 24, 73? So if I take a look here, the 24 is tied to triangles And the 73 is tied to rectangles because of X and Y in the ordered pair. Looking at my answers here, which one fits the situation the best? 24 triangles were constructed. Hey, question A looks good. And then it says 73 rectangles. I really like answer choice A. If you take a look down at B, it says 25 triangles. Hey, I agree with that. Then it says 73 paper straws were used. That is incorrect. The Y stands for rectangles. And if you take a look at C and D, they kind of play on words. All right, moving on to problem 6. The equation y equals 0.1x models the relationship between the number of different pieces of music a certain pianist practices y during an x amount of practice time. How many pieces did the pianist practice if the session lasted 30 minutes? So if I have y is equal to 0.1x, I know that my x value, because they tell me x is the minute of practice, I'm going to take this 30, plug it in for x, and I get y is equal to 3. So that means I practiced 3 pieces. Take a look here at this problem number 7 with a diagram. Take a moment. What problems could you kind of just cancel out? Look at the answers. What can you cancel out based on your quick snapshot of what you're looking at the graph with? So if I take a look here, one of the ones I think I feel really strong that I can definitely cancel out is going to be answer choice B and probably C. And the reason why I'm saying B and C is if this is down here, that means I got -1 and -1. If I look here and I go down 1 over 4, it's going to be answer choice A. That is my downslope, -1/4 x. The line's going down, and I go through the y-intercept of -1. Answer choice A for problem number 7. Okay, problem 8. Now you're doing the reverse. They're going to give you some information, and you have to find out what is the equation based on this information. Okay, an employee at a restaurant prepares sandwiches and salads. So we got 2 things going on. We got sandwiches and salads. It takes the employee 1.5 minutes to prepare a sandwich and 1.9 minutes to prepare a salad. The employee spends a total of 46.1 minutes altogether. The key takeaway here is, hey, X is sandwiches, and they tell us Y is salads. So if I'm looking here at problem number 8, okay, 1.5 minutes to prepare a sandwich, 1.5x, 1.9 minutes for salad with a total of 46.1 minutes. Answer choice B. All right, moving on. Ooh, problem number 12. Whenever kids see problems that involve percents, and then if you take a look, we got some really unique equations down here. Let's take a look to see if we can figure this out. A gardener buys 2 kinds of fertilizer. One contains 60% filter materials by weight, and fertilizer B contains 40% of filler materials by weight. Together, they bought 240 pounds. So if I'm looking at my answer choices, everything's 240. Okay. Which equation models this relationship where X is fertilizer A and B is going to be fertilizer Y? So if I take a look here, X really has to be 0.6 because if you take 60% and convert it into decimal form, you move it 2 places back. That's how I get 0.6. 40% is going to turn into 0.4y equals 240. Common mistakes are answer choice C. 40% is not 40x. 60% is not 60y. And the same thing goes for D down here. So whenever you have percents, you want to more than likely convert them to decimal form. Answer choice B on this setup. All right, Math Gangster here with Ascend Test Prep. This worksheet is going to be an overview of linear function problems that are on the SAT. In the course description below, you're going to be able to see the answer key for this and also get the blank worksheet. I'm going to highlight several problems here that I think are kind of key. If we take a look here at problem number 1, it is a word problem that we need to translate. More than likely, you will get one problem like this on the SAT. If we look here, it says it occurs 15 feet above the ground. Okay, so that means plus 15. Right away, I'm zeroing in on the number 15. In front of the roller coaster, a car rises at a constant rate of 8 feet per second. So if you look here, I'm going 8 feet per second. If I was at 0 seconds, I would then be at 15 feet. Okay, and so that tells me, hey, we're on the right track here. Which of the following equations gives the height in feet in front of the roller coaster car seconds after it starts up the hill? Answer choice A. Number 2 is a very traditional problem here. It says f of 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the 5 and plug it in right for x. There's a bunch of these problems in this section. Just pointing out if whatever is in parentheses, you want to take that and plug it into the problem. 2 times 5 gives me 10. 10 minus 1 over 3. This gives me 9 over 3, which is going to simplify into just 3. Answer choice C. And so you'll see a bunch of problems like number 2 throughout this worksheet, a variety of different manipulations to kind of get you prepared so you can see the different variations that may occur. Moving on, take a look here at number 3. Again, we're translating here. D is equal to 16t, where D is the distance and t represents the number of seconds. Which of the following is the best interpretation of 16 in this context? Okay, well, D stands for inches. So what does the 16t stand for? Well, if I had 1 second, that means it would have moved 16 inches. So what does the 16 stand for? The object moved a total of 16 inches. The object moved a total of 16t inches. The object is moving at a rate of 16 inches per second. I like that because everything is based on what's happening per second. If it was 1 second, it's 16 inches. If it was 2 seconds, it'd be 32 inches. Great problem right here to translate it. Again, if you take a look at number 4, as I said earlier, g of 0, I got to take that and plug it into the original equation. Number 5 right here. This is a graph of the XY plane, blah, blah, blah. Going through it, it represents miles traveled, and then we have cost in dollars over here. According to the graph, what is the cost for each additional mile? All right, so if you take a look just to enter the cab, 1, 2 costs $3. At 0 miles, you're paying $3. Well, there's a 3 down here, but that's there to mislead you. They want to know how much is it going up per mile. Well, if I look here at 1 mile, I get a dot. And if I use my slope, I rise 2 and run 1. So I get a slope of 2 over 1. I'm raising $2 for every 1 mile. So answer choice A. Another very similar problem for 6 that you can interpret the graph. Number 7, really like this one a lot. Some of the values of the linear function f, so I have this function f of x, are shown in the table. Which of the following defines f? Okay, so I got to find the function that works. You have a few options here. You can start plugging in numbers to see which one works. So if I plug in 1, I know, hey, 1 times 5, hey, it works here. But if I try this one, if I plug in a 3, 3 times 5 is 15, so it can't be D. Again, you really want to be concise. You don't want to spend a minute on every single problem. If there's problems that you can shave down time and bank that time for later on a harder problem, it's going to help you. I'm taking a lot of time talking about the process here to help kind of guide you and mirror on how you should be attacking this. Okay. If I take a look, my x's here are going up by 2. And if I take a look here, my y's are going up by 8. Okay. And if I use the change in y over the change in x, I'm going to get 8 over 2, which simplifies into 4 over 1. So I now have a slope of 4x. If I plug in 1, it works. If I plug in 3, it works. And now I can see the pattern. So just by finding the slope right away, that can kind of nudge me in the correct direction. Again, take a look at 8. Another problem where you're going to have to plug in -2 and find out where the answer comes. Okay. Take a look here at problem 15. 15, the same type of problem. The value of h of 50 is equal. What is it when you plug it in? Again, you take this, plug it in here. You're going to find its answer choice B. 17, another function problem with a graph like this one because it doesn't show the line going all the way through here, which might make some of you guys a little nervous. Let's take a look to see what they're asking. What is the estimated temperature in kelvins of the oxygen gas when its pressure is at 6 atmospheres? So if you notice, atmospheres are down here. And if I go up to 6, hit here, now it says, what is the estimated temperature in kelvins? It goes right across to 700. Again, interpreting the graph, looking at the questions of what they're asking, and where do you go from there based on what they're giving you. Take a look here at problem 20. The equation y equals 2x minus 5. You have to know that this here is your slope, and this over here is your y-intercept. So if my y-intercept is -5, right away I know it's not A, and I know it's not C. Okay, my slope is a positive 2x. That means the line should be going up. Well, line B isn't going up, but it does have a y-intercept of -5. It has to be D because I got a -5 y-intercept. I have a positive slope. And if I look really closely, I can see it's going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Again, problem 22, another pressure, temperature, volume one. Again, interpret what they're asking and go from there. If you're getting stuck on this, in the course description below, you're going to see how to do this with our step-by-step answer key. Okay, the graph of the linear function, number 23, is shown. What is the value of the y-intercept? Okay, I've seen a lot of kids make simple mistakes on this. 2 comma 0 and 0 comma 2. Remember, it goes x comma y. So my x has to be 0 and my y is 2 because that's the intercept. Answer choice C. Take a look here at number 28. Gabriella deposits $35 in a savings account at the end of each week. At the beginning of week 1 of a year, there was $600 in that savings account. How much money in dollars will be in the account by the end of the 4th week of that year? Take pause. Okay. She's putting $35 in a week. She's at $600 in there at the end of the year. Whew. How much are we going to have here? So if you think about it, at the end of the year, she had $600. Okay. Plus, by the 4th week, she has $35 in there 4 times. So How much does she have total into her account? Let's break this down one more time. She's putting $35 in a savings account at the end of each week. At the beginning of the first week of a year, so at the beginning of the very first week, she hasn't made a deposit. She's got $600 in there. Okay. By week 4, 4 times 35 is going to give me 140. 600 plus the 140 gives me 740. Done. Answer choice D. Take a look here at number 30. The function g is defined by g of x is equal to 10x plus 8. What is the value of g of x when x is equal to 8? If I plug it in here, I'm going to get 80 plus 8 gives me 88. Again, very common problems. Okay, take a look here at number 29. It says h of 0 equals 41. So when I do nothing, I get 41. That has to be my y-intercept. So I have h of x equals, I'm going to put a blank here right now, is plus 41. Okay, now when I do 1, it gives me 40. So when I plug in 1, my answer here is going to be 40. Well, what do I have to put in here for x? I could put x plus 41. And well, if I plug in the number 1, 1 plus 41 gives me 42. That doesn't work. I needed to go down. So if I needed to go down, I'm going to throw a negative in front. So if I plug in 1 now, I get negative 1 plus 41. That gives me 40. It works here. It works here. Answer choice A, negative x plus 41. So in this section here, going over lots of different function notation, function word problems, and you have to ask yourself, what are they asking me to find? What information are they giving me? All the best. Math Gangsta for life. All right, so this worksheet here is going to cover linear inequalities with a focus of linear inequality problems that would occur on an SAT. If we take a look here at problem number 1, Valentina bought 2 containers of beads, and the first container contains 30% of the beads are red. So 30% are red. 70% of the beads are also red in the second container. If you take the 2 containers and you add them together, you have at least, that's the key thing here that's going to signal to us that it's not an equal sign, at least 400 red beads total. Which inequality below shows this relationship where x is the total number of beads in the first container and y is the total of number of beads in the second container? So in the first container, it's going to have 30%. And I talked about this in our previous video that whenever you see a percent, we want to convert it to a decimal. So I have 0.3x. So right away, this is the only answer choice that's coming out at me. But to continue on with it, it says 70% of y, which is the second container, and it has to have at least or greater than or equal to 400 because the minimum I can have is 400. I can have 400, I can have 401, but this is the correct answer because it needs to be greater than 400 at least. Number 2, on a car trip, Rhett and Jessica drove for part of the trip. The total distance they drove was under 220 miles. So it's got to be less than 220. Right away, kind of looking at B and D as possible answer choices. So if I look here, it says Rhett drove 35 miles per hour and Jessica drove 40. 35R plus 40J and it's less. If you take a look here, notice how they flip the values for Rhett and Jessica. This is one thing you have to be very careful with. Answer choice B. Moving on to problem 3. A bakery sells trays of cookies. Each tray contains at least 50 cookies, but no more than 60. you are going to make a total of 4 trays. So what I like to say is we have to do the low bound first. So if I take 4 times 50, that gives me 200. I take 4 times 60, that gives me 240. So my cookies have to be somewhere between 200 and 240. Well, it's not going to be answer choice A. B works, C doesn't work, and D doesn't work. It has to be answer choice B. Probably one of the most common problems I've seen on an SAT and an ACT. Tomei scored 851, 781, and 98 on his first 3 history exams. Kind of a wide range of numbers here that could throw you off. Solving which inequality gives the score G on Tom's 4th exam that will result in a mean score of all 4 exams of at least 90. So he is going to take 4 exams and it has to be greater than or equal to 90. If we take a look, this right away intrigues me. That means all of these scores right here have to be greater than. Taking a look, we don't know the 4th score. We have the 3 previous ones right here. It's being divided by 4 because that's how many exams he's taking. This right here is exactly how you find the average. Answer choice C. The other ones just clearly don't make sense. Like, why are we saying 360? What are we saying 4G for the 4th test here? Why are we throwing 90 here? Again, go with your gut, break it down piece by piece. What do you know for sure? I know that, hey, this score has to be over here, has to be bigger than 90. This is set up correctly. This is somewhat intriguing, but the minus 4G is there to throw you off. Okay. Number 5, normal body temperature for an adult is between 97.8 and 99 degrees Fahrenheit, inclusive, which means in between. If Kevin is an adult male and his body temperature is considered to be normal, which of the following could be his body temperature? So we're looking for between 97.8 and 99. Well, 96.7 is too low. 97.6 is still below this cutoff. This falls in the range. This zero point 0.7 puts it out of the range. Answer choice C. Problem 6. Which of the following order pairs work? So you simply plug them in. 1 is going to give me 5 minus 3, which gives me 2. Is 2 less than 4? 1 works. Okay, now I got to plug in 2 and 5. This becomes 10 minus 15. 10 minus 15 gives me negative 5. That is definitely less than 4. Come over here, plug in 3 and 2. That gives me 15 minus 6, which gives me 9, which doesn't work. So which are the ones that satisfy this equation? Answer choice C, 1 and 2 only. All right, problem 7. A clothing store is having a sale on t-shirts. During the sale, the cost of a shirt is $15 and the cost of a pair of pants is $25. Geoff cannot spend more than $120 at the store, so it has to be less than or equal to 120. Right away, kind of looking at these answers right here, not looking at this because it says greater than. I have to spend less than that 120. So if I look, it says $15 for a pair of pants. Sorry, $15 for a pair of pants. Nope. $25 for a pair of pants and $15 for a shirt. See, this whole thing of these words and variables can easily mess you up. So if it's $15 for a shirt, it has to be 15S. $25 for a pair of pants, 25P. I'm adding them together. Has to be answer choice A. An elementary school teacher is ordering X workbooks and Y flashcards. So X is the workbooks, Y is the flashcards. The teacher must order at least 20 items. So it's got to be greater than or equal to 20 items. So if I take my workbooks, plus my flashcards has to be greater than or equal to 20. I like A, I like B. I don't know where they got the 3 and the 4, so I'm crossing that out. And this one says it has to be less than. So right now I'm just focusing on A or B. Okay. The total cost of the books or the order has to be over $80. If the workbooks cost $3 and the cards cost $4, this becomes 3x plus 4y. Now, if you remember, it says the order must, this should be not be over $80, not be over. So it has to be under $80. This not really should be highlighted. So answer choice A, 3x plus 4y is less than or 80 because I can't spend more than that. Clearly answer choice A, and I cannot hound on that word not enough. Okay. Maria plans to rent a boat. The boat rental costs $60 per an hour, and she'll have to pay for a water safety course that is $10. Okay, so if she's taking a water safety course, it's $10 flat. Okay, then it's $60 an hour, where X is going to represent how many hours. Maria wants to spend no more than $280 total. So 60x plus 10 has to be less than or equal to $280. If the boat rental is only available for whole hours, ooh, whole hours, no decimals. What is the maximum number of hours that she can rent the boat? So I subtract 10 from both sides. I get 60x is less than or equal to 270. If I look here and divide both sides by 60, x is less than or equal to, plug that in the calculator really quick, or if you could do it in your head, awesome. That is going to become 4.5 hours. But here's the problem. You can't rent it for 4.5 hours, so you have to only rent it at whole amounts. Well, if she can't afford 4.5, that breaks her out at 280. There's no way she can afford the 5 hours because 60 times 5 is 300. What's the most amount of hours that she can rent the boat for? A total of 4 hours. A dinner party needs 50 dinner rolls. Rolls are sold in packages of 12. So how many packages do I need to buy? Okay, 50 is how many I need. They come in packages of 12. 5 times 12 I know is 60. That's more than I need. Drop it down by one package. 4 times 12 is 48. That's not enough. How many packages do I need to buy? I'm going to be buying 5 packages and having some extra rolls. During spring migration, a dragonfly traveled a minimum. So my min is 1510 and a max of 4130 miles between two stopover locations. Which inequality below represents the situation where D is a possible distance? So if I take a look, the minimum it traveled was 1510 and the most it traveled was 4130. So it's between that. It can't be A because this says, hey, it traveled under 1510. The minimum amount that it traveled was 1510. So it can't be less than. Cross out D because it didn't travel more than 4,130 miles. This problem down here doesn't make any sense because the smaller number should be on the left. Okay, and then if I take a look here, 5640, they must have just added these two together. That's incorrect. Answer choice B is the correct one. 12, take a moment, look at it. If you forgot, this is X and this is Y. Which one satisfies it? Okay, if X is 8, that has to be greater than 0. So X is greater than 0. X is greater than 0. Oops, not this one. It says X is less than. X is less than. So it's not a negative number. That's why I'm crossing out C and D. 2 is also greater than 0. Answer choice A. Notice here it says y is less than 0. Well, 2 is not less than, so it still has to be A. Okay, so we have 2L plus 2W is less than or equal to 27. A rectangle has a length of L and a width of W. The inequality gives the possible values for L and W for which the perimeter of this rectangle is less than 27. Which of the statements below gives an interpretation of this information in context with the problem? If the rectangle has a length of 3 and a width of 8, its perimeter is less than or equal to 27. Okay, so if I take a look there and do this, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 8, okay, that works. Okay, moving on, if the rectangle has a length of 8, did you catch the mistake? A looks like it works, but L is length. Notice how they said the length is 3 here. You have to be very careful about this. A sounded like it was the correct problem, but it is not because it is identified with the wrong numerical value. If the rectangle has a length of 8, that makes sense, and a width of 3, its perimeter is less than or equal to 27, is less than or equal to 27. I'm leaning towards B. Okay. C, like problem A, has the wrong identifier. Okay. And if I look here at D, I have the correct identifiers, but it says greater than. That was not mentioned in the problem. Answer choice B. Take a look at 14, one of the most missed problems on this packet. A geologist estimates the volume of a slab of granite is greater than 12.7 cubic feet, but less than 15.7 cubic feet. The geologist also estimates that a slab of granite weighs 165 pounds per a cubic foot. Which inequality represents this situation where X represents the estimated total weight of the slab of granite? So what I like about these answer choices here is you have high bounds and you have low bounds, the left values and the right values. Okay, so go back to the beginning. The volume of a slab of granite is greater than 12.7 cubic feet. So granite, 12.7 cubic feet. Okay, and then you have some granite that also weighs 165 cubic feet. Okay, so where am I going to plug this in? I'm not going to be subtracting it away from it. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to be adding it. I have some granite that weighs 12.7 and I'm plugging it into the 165. I'm plugging it into the 165. Answer choice C. Problem 15. For a 3-week period in Illinois, the lowest recorded temperature in the town was 31 degrees. So my low bound is 31. The highest temperature was 67. Which inequality is true for any recorded temp T for a 3-week period? Well, if I take a look here, it can't be A because it was never greater than 98. It was okay. So now I'm taking a look here. Oh, it's greater than 67, but the max high was 67. Okay, I'm going to skip to D. It was never lower than 31. The temperature was between 31 and 67 degrees. All right, problem 16, the last one of this packet. Julissa needs at least 100 hours of flight time to get her private pilot certification. If Julissa already has 86 hours of flight time, what is the minimum number of additional hours of flight time Julissa needs? So I'm going to take 100. I'm going to subtract away the 86. Okay, the minimum hour to get to the 100-hour requirement is going to be 14 hours. Answer choice A. Again, in the course description, you can download the blank document and the answer key I just worked on. If you have any questions, feel free to message us at Ascend Test Prep. Math Gangsta for life. Math Gangster here with a Send Test Prep. If there is one guarantee I could give you is on the ACT or the SAT, you are going to have a systems of equations problem. And in this worksheet that I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you many multiple representations of this concept. Not going to go over every single one, but if you look in the video description below, you'll find the blank worksheet as well as an answer key for all the problems here. So if we take a look here to get you started at problem number 1, we have Hero and Sophia. Hero purchased 4 shirts and 2 pairs of pants for $86, and then we got Sophia purchased 3 shirts and 5 pairs of pants for $166. At the start of the video here and the start of the problem, each shirt purchased was the same price. And then it says the same thing, each pair of pants purchased was the same. What this means is Hero and Sophia are paying the same for the shirt and paying the same for the pants. They just bought different quantities. Looking at the blue and the green, which one represents the correct answer? So we have to be very careful with our variables. If we look, X represents the price of each shirt. And then if I go on here, I'll underline it, Y represents the pair of pants. So if I take a look, Hero had 4 shirts, that's 4x. Looking straight down the answer choices, it looks pretty clear to me that, hey, they're all 4x. I go over, Hero purchased 2 pairs of pants. That's 2y, and that's 86. I like this first setup for Hero. I don't like any of the other setups, so I'm starting to think A is my answer choice for sure. I'm going to double check it. Sophia purchased 3 shirts. Hey, that makes sense. And 5 pairs of pants for $166. It all flows through. Answer choice A shows the correct system of equations. Looking at 2, we got a graph. The graph of a system, of a linear system, is shown. What is the solution? You have to know that the intersection point is the solution, and it goes x comma y. So in this case, it's going to be answer choice C, 2 comma 3. A petting zoo sells 2 types of tickets. A standard ticket costs $5. The premium ticket, which allows you to give food to animals, costs $12. So we got 2 ticket types. They sold a total of 250 tickets. So what I'm thinking here is I took my standard tickets plus my premium tickets. That equals 250 tickets sold. Moving on, it says it collected this much money. So now I got to go back here. My standard tickets were $5 plus my premium tickets were $12. That equals 2,300. If I have 2 variables, I need to have 2 equations. Which answer choice is it going to be? Now, if you take a look, I accidentally threw x here, so this should be 5s. So I have s plus p equals 250. I like A, I like B. Well, $5 S and 250 tickets, that logic doesn't make sense. I'm interchanging the concepts. This makes no sense. Okay? The standard tickets were $5. The premium tickets were $12. That's 2,300. Answer choice A. Okay. Number 4, kind of a weak systems of equations. The solution to the given system, x and y, what is the value of y? So if x is equal to 10, I can take it and substitute it. Substitution method in a system. This becomes 10 plus 21, which is going to give me 31. Y is equal to 31. Answer choice D. Kind of straightforward. I give you about 4 or 5 problems in this packet. I'm only showing you the first one. That way you guys can work through and make sure that you're getting this pretty straightforward concept. Moving on to problem 5. Problem 5 is just like number 4. Problem 6 was like the previous problem 2. We are looking for an intersection point. So I'm going to skip 6. 7, same type of problem. You're going to have to plug it in. 8, kind of translation like we've already done. 9, another setup of a word problem. I cannot hound on this enough. I really like it. One thing you're going to see coming out in the next few weeks is I'm going to have a video on Desmos and how Desmos can pretty much solve any system of equations. And Desmos is the calculator that drops down during the ACT and the SAT. Problem 10 now is our real first system of equations. If you take a look here, I have x plus y equals 20. Now I'm going to solve these by hand. There are much quicker ways to do this, and you're going to read and listen about it in my Desmos video coming out. So if I take a look, I got to simplify that second equation. This becomes 2x plus 2y plus 3y equals 85. I'm going to collect like terms. I get 2x plus 5y equals 85, and I'm going to write this other equation down below. So there's a few things you can do here to solve this problem. You have substitution method, you can use elimination. I'm going to use elimination, and I'm going to eliminate the x variable by multiplying everything by -2. I get -2x minus 2y equals -40. I'm going to come back here and take the equation I didn't manipulate it and write it down below. Now, when I add these two equations together, you're going to see some stuff start to cancel out. Okay, the -2x is canceled. This leaves me 3y equals 45. I divide by 3, and I'm going to find out that y is equal to 15. What is the value of y? 15. I spent about a good 40 seconds on this problem. This is something that you could probably get down to 15 to 20 seconds using a calculator or using the Desmos application. The other option you have here is to kind of substitute and plug something in, which I'll show you in a later video. Okay, 13 here, again, translating a word problem. 14, also translating a word problem. The nice thing about these two here is I'm showing you in problem 13 the brackets. The brackets clearly mean that this is a system. And if you're looking in 14, I'm showing you the two different equations. 13 and 14 are also going to play into almost like problems 15 and 16. Okay, again, you have to have the ability to take a word problem and translate it into an equation. This is a skill that must be practiced over and over. Problem 16, one of my favorite ones in this packet. In the given system of equations, a is a constant. That means a constant a here has to be a number. The system has infinitely many solutions. What that means is everything has to cancel out, or instead, if you're not familiar with that method, both equations have to be exactly the same. So if I take a look here, I have 2x plus 7y equals 9, and then I have 8x plus 28y equals a. So here's the deal. If it's infinitely many, both of these equations have to be the same. How can I take this 2 and turn it into an 8? Well, it's simple, multiplying it by 4. So 4 times 2 gives me 8x, and 4 times 7 gives me 28y. 4 times 9 gives me 36, which means the a value has to be 36. The constant for this problem, c, is equal to 36. 17, this is the intersection of a system. We've talked about that. Problem 18, another substitution problem. Notice that I tell you y is equal to 4. Okay. 19, I like. 20, I like a little bit more. If we take a look here at 20, what is the solution x comma y to the given system of equations? I have x plus y is equal to 18, and I have 5y equals to x. Notice how it says x is equal to 5y. Well, I can take this 5y and plug into x. I get 5y plus y equals 18. I get 6y equals 18. I divide by 6, and I get y is equal to 3. Well, if I look here, there's only one answer choice that gives me 3. But I'm still going to go through and show you that it works. If I plug 3 into here, I get x plus y. Well, I just told you y is 3. We found that out. Is equal to 18. I subtract 3 from both sides, and I'm going to get x equals 15. Answer choice A. This gives you a solid review of all of the concepts covered on an ACT, SAT that are aligned to algebra. I would say mastering these concepts are going to get you some guaranteed points on both of these exams. All the best, Math Gangsta for life.